Hello everyone, my name is Michael SK and welcome back to Fate Stay Night Remastered. Saber is acting a bit odd ever since we had our lovely adventure out in Ilya's forest. I don't know, she's just been more self-conscious, acting a little bit more human in general. Like, she's not acting as she once did. A little bit different, a little bit, reserved. Or not even reserved, just more, I guess, she didn't give a shit about a lot of things because she wasn't human. She isn't human. However, ever since the contact that the two of them made, ever since he poured his power into her in order to, let her live, things have just been different. Things have been very different. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's a whole lot of nothing. Maybe it's because they are getting closer to one another. There's actually a sense of her caring for Shirou more than she once did. More than the relationship of servant-master. I don't know.
いや、別に何があったわけじゃない。寝つけないから頭の体操をしていただけだ。一通りこなしたら部屋に戻るから心配はいらない。
そうですか。ならいいのですが。
Saber focuses on my forehead. She can probably see that I'm dripping with sweat.
ああ、これもいつものことだから気にしないでくれ。魔術の練習なんて魔術師として当然のたしなみだろ。いや、まあ半人前なんで失敗はつきものなんだけど。
I wiped the sweat from my brow with the back of a hand, excuse me. I'm surprised. My sweat is cold as ice. I thought it was cold, but I don't remember the shed being quite this cold.
シロ、一日も欠かさずそれを。
Yeah.
いや、まあできる限りは。親父に言われた日課だし、これぐらいはやらないと。
As soon as I finish speaking, I regret my bluff. I regret telling her this is my daily routine. My intent was to boast to Saber. At the end of the day, my training isn't just some chore to me, but it isn't the easiest of tasks either. Saber says nothing. The moon hangs behind her, its light spilling around her frame. The shed, plunged into bluish darkness, is illuminated by the few shafts of silvery light that make it past Saber. Ugh, sorry. I recall the first night I met her.
セイバー、遠坂が言ってたことなんだけど。
That moment felt just like a dream.
サーバントは夢を見ないっていうのは本当なのか？
I can't stop myself from asking.
ええ、私たちは夢を見ない。もともと幽体であるサーバントは眠りません。私は幽体化ができないため眠らざるを得ませんが、それでも夢は見れません。
でも朝は見たって。
She wasn't necessarily dreaming. There is a brief silence. She closes her eyes, then apparently having made up her mind.
私が見たものはあなたの夢です。マスターとサーバントは精神的にもつながっている。結びつきが強くなれば相手の過去を垣間見ることもあるでしょう。
We've been experiencing a whole lot of hers.
夢に見たって。俺の過去か。
はい。あなたの心に踏み入る行為だとは分かっていたのですが、私には拒むことができなかった。それをどうか許してください、シロ。
I did the same thing. Saber's past. I've seen several scenes from her life before she became a servant now.
バカ、そんなのセイバーのせいじゃないだろう。夢に見ちまうなら仕方がないじゃないか。それに謝るのはこっちの方だ。俺の昔なんてつまんないことばかりだろ。そんなもん見せられたらおちおち眠ってられやしない。
いえ、夢を見たのは今朝だけです。それも最近のことではありませんから、シロの男性としてのプライベートを侵害するようなことは決してありません。
Yeah, I wasn't really, I wasn't worried about that for him specifically, but I mean, there's the bit of his past that we've seen over and over again. Saber is dead serious about that warning. But privacy? Well, yeah, sure, I've done my share of dumb things.
それは助かるけど、最近のことじゃないって、じゃあ、いつ頃のことなんだ？
大きな火事でした。
Ah, fuck. Okay, well, there it is.
私が見たものは、
Her voice is quiet. Her gentle gaze tells me what she saw. No. I didn't quite remember that there in the background. That dream.
そうか。それは、なんていうか。
Should I say that it was unfortunate? It's like going to a movie theater expecting to see a movie you know, but you somehow end up in the wrong theater and end up getting a completely different show.
それで分かりました。いいえ、前から思ってはいたのです。あなたには、ひどく危ういところがあると。
He does?
危ういところってなんだよ。そりゃ、セイバーから見れば、至るところは危なげだろうけど。
そんな意味ではありません。あなたは、シローは私と似ています。だから、あなたの間違いもわかる。このまま進めばどうなってしまうかも。
いや、間違ってなんかないけどな。そりゃ失敗は数えきれないけど、俺は親父みたいな正義の味方になるんだ。間違ったことなんてできないだろう。
I wonder... Hold on, let's continue on here.
それが間違いなのです。
There it is. Okay. So I'm pretty sure the situation is exactly the way that he, believes in how to approach a lot of, things. And Saber has sort of gone against that here and there. I think even Rin has brought it up. But you can't save everybody. You can't. You can't be the hero. And having that mindset where you have to be the nice guy to everybody to prevent people from dying, this and that, is actually going to get people killed because of the way that you're trying to go about it. You should naturally try to save other people, but to make that your goal, where you will give up other things to try to prevent things that may or may not happen, you're going out of your way to overdo things, which on paper sounds like, oh man, you're a really nice guy. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it is a bit much.
シロー、あの事故はあなたのせいでもないし、その責任はあなたが負うべきものでもない。あなたには償うべきものなどないのです。
That's obvious. It was just an accident, and I was just a victim. Sure, I may be dealing with survivor's guilt.
以前、リンが言っていました。シローの自己犠牲と献身ぶりは異常だと。
That is another part of it,
そ
and
れは私も同感です。
we've seen him practically die multiple times now because of how he's willing to just throw himself out there.
あなたは自らの命を代価として人を助けようとするのではない。あなたは単に初めから自分の命が感情に入っていないのではないですか。
What was that last visual, man? Am I forgetting something? It's possible I'm forgetting something. Maybe my pupils have dilated. I'm not sure why, but I can't seem to focus on Saber's face.
あの事故を忘れることはあなたにはできないでしょう。ですが、覚えている限りシローは変わらない。
苦しい？俺が？
Well, yeah, that is painful. Saber doesn't have to remind me of that. It is obvious. So many people died, it was absolute hell. Something like that causing you pain is only natural. And besides, if I didn't feel that, it might all be meaningless.
確かにこうして思い出すと辛い。けど、それは終わったことだ。今さらどうにかできることじゃないだろう。
Saber doesn't answer. Instead, she claws at her arm in frustration.
私は聖杯を手に入れなければならない。けれど、それはシロウにも当てはまる。
セイバー。
シロウには聖杯が必要だ。私があなたに呼び出されたのは必然だったのです、マスター。
I don't know how to respond to that. Yeah, me neither, actually. Like, I really want to comment on that, but I don't really know what to say.
先に眠ります。シロウもあまり無茶はしないように。
Saber leaves. I fold my arms and think, do I need the Holy Grail? A vessel that grants wishes to its possessor. A vessel which contains unlimited quantities of magical energy, for which it is said nothing is possible or impossible. Were I to get it, it could easily grant my wish.
いや、違う。どう考えても聖杯なんていらないぞ。
No, I definitely don't need it. Because I don't have any wishes that can't come true, or hope for anything that's impossible. I wouldn't have a dream if it weren't something I could attain myself. The night grows darker. In the familiar old shed, lit only by the moon, I listen to the distant wind. I wonder, though. Saber told us before that she required the Holy Grail because of the mistakes that she had made. However, from what I was told from friends, every, heroic spirit here has made a mistake in their life. There's regrets all around, I'm sure. So, what is it that Saber requires out of the Holy Grail? Does she want to, right the wrongs in the way that she approached a lot of the things in her life when she was King Arthur? And I guess to the other perspective here in Shirou, maybe Shirou deep down does feel that survivor's guilt eating away at him. Maybe there's something that he could utilize the Holy Grail for in, whatever his goal is in protecting other people. The sky is gray, the hill crimson with corpses. The heavy clouds drift away, heralding the battle's end. I know this scene. I've seen it so many times now. This is one of Saber's battles. She fought and won so many victories, scenes like this are almost commonplace for her. Afterwards, she will return to her castle, where her victory will be praised and celebrated. Then she will prepare for the next battle. This is just life for her. It is only one of the 12 great battles she fought, and so she does not truly remember victory, so much as she just accepts it as a fact. I think she's misguided. And this is not a dream. It's just a cold reality. Her past that can't be changed. The moment she drew the sword, she stopped being human. She took over for her father as a feudal lord and became a king with many knights. She was known as King Arthur, and Altria. The life of the girl who once aspired to be a knight changed so radically. No. Was forced to end her life as she knew it might be a better way to put it. In that instant, the girl who still had such childlike features ceased to be, and became the King of Knights. She acted like she was the king's son. The ruler of the territories and knights had to be male. Only her father and the mage knew the king was female. She covered herself in iron and hid the truth for the rest of her life. I don't know why I never realized the implications until now. As much public exposure as she had, she managed to pass herself off as male the whole time. The sheer suffering she likely endured must have been incredible, but a simple observer could never really understand. Time passes. 10 years worth of memories as king, and there was only one common thread that entire time. Even when she's on the throne, even when she's walking through the hallway, even when she's on the battlefield, not a soul spoke to her. Even the round table, filled as it was with knights boasting of their valor, always fell silent the moment the king appeared. So that's what it meant. She was merely tolerated as an idol. Many knights looked down on Altria, with her boyish appearance, and were ultimately not comfortable in trusting her with their blades. But because she managed to draw the sacred sword that no one else could, they had to obey, even if only to keep up appearances. They just accepted the disgrace, believed it would pass. Sacred sword or no, the king was merely a child. Even with Merlin's support, the king would surely fail eventually. When that happens, they need only take the sacred sword from her and select a new king. That's probably what most of the knights thought. But that's not how it went. The knight, only just reaching adulthood, was a flawless king. She enforced peace among the squabbling lords, and fought off invaders as well. Now, of course, this wasn't due to the sacred sword's powers. The sacred sword only protects the king. The king, on the other hand, protects their nation. And through her deeds, she was always able to maintain control of her knights. The sacred sword protects her only from her enemies. It does nothing to help her hold sway over the hearts of her subjects. She worked herself to the bone to be the ideal king to all. At that point, the knights had no choice but to obey. They held their dissatisfaction for the young king in check because the king was truly perfect. She strived to be an ideal king. The only condition for the knights' support was that their king be exactly that, the ideal king. There was no room for Altria to be a human being. She could be a king, and only a king. The peerless knight who drew the sacred sword, who stopped aging from that moment, and who went on to win 12 great wars. The more perfect she became, the more people stayed away from her. As this continued, the king grew more and more isolated. That was who she was. But she did well. In fact, she did too well. She defeated her enemies and minimized her own side's casualties. No matter the battle, sacrifices must be made. So she believed it was her duty to make sacrifices, to bolster her army, and to defeat the enemy without wasting lives. She would strip away the resources from one village to prepare her army, and then defeat the invaders before they could strike her land, saving perhaps 10 villages. That was the king's approach, and it proved the best strategy at the time. But the knights must not have been happy. To them, only the foreign invaders should have died, and the only true victory is made without any such sacrifices. There shouldn't be any need to sacrifice a territory before battle. They were going to win regardless, so the sacrifices were pointless. There wouldn't be any sacrifices, so the king's actions were a waste. It was, of course, total nonsense. Once battle began, the knights spared not a thought for those little villages. No one thought twice about trampling the villages. Protecting them was never a consideration. The knights claimed there's nothing to be done when the enemy destroys such villages, but to let them be destroyed is a great crime. Obviously, she knew that. But a king cannot worry about their personal feelings. She had to kill her emotions to make her decisions, and her knights had to suppress their own feelings to obey. And so sacrifices are made, and that string of victories stabilizes the nation. And in return, animosity for the king grew. King Arthur just doesn't understand how people feel. So one knight was heard to say as they left the castle, "What a ridiculous story." She was expected not to be human, but they hated her precisely because she didn't have human emotions. The Age of War continued. The animosity of the knights who had been dissatisfied with the king only grew more so after that knight left. They forced her to deal with every foreign and domestic enemy in hopes of pushing her over the edge. Collapse was imminent. If these many problems confronting the nation were never resolved, it would crumble. Even if all of them were to be resolved, what awaits is more of the same. But that did not concern the king. Even should she be abandoned, feared, or betrayed, she will remain steadfast, because she had long since made up her mind. She abandoned her emotions the moment she decided to draw that sword. This happened long, long ago. Knights from across the nation gathered to try to draw the sword from the stone, but none of them could do it, and the knights instead showcased their skill on horseback, eager to crown the best among them king. Well, the knights flocked to the arena in droves. The sword and the stone lay outside, forgotten. From afar, it looked more like a festival. Even in the distance, the sound of valiant cavalrymen clashing is audible. The knights clashed in the distance, and the rock lay forgotten. What was going through the girl's mind as she stood in front of the rock? Before she realized it, an unknown mage stood behind her.
それを手に取る前にきちんと考えた方がいい。
He tries to stop her for her own good.
それを手にしたが最後、君は人間ではなくなるよ。
He also warned her that many would hate her, and that she would die a gruesome death. She must have been terrified. The mage showed her the future. He showed her the end that she would meet if she drew that sword.
いいえ、
It only made her all the more determined. Even after seeing that future, she only gave a firm nod. The mage asked again if that was what she wanted.
多くの人が笑っていました。それはきっと間違いではないと思います。
She took the sword in her hand. The mage looked troubled and turned away.
奇跡には代償が必要だ。君はその一番大切なものを引き換えにするだろう。
He departed with those prophetic words. That's right. She just wanted to protect everyone. But to do so, she had to abandon her desire to protect people. She cannot protect her country as its king if she still has a human heart. Even knowing this, she drew the sword. Even knowing this, she vowed to live as a king. So no matter what happens, she will remain steadfast. She abandoned her human heart. She was willing to give that up to protect her nation. Who could have known the girl made such a noble oath?
戦うと決めた。
Come what may, and however might end.
それでも戦うと決めたのだ。
Even if an inevitable, solitary doom awaited her. And her end did come. The Battle of Camlan. King Arthur set out on a campaign, and one of her knights usurped her, oh wait, I struggled with this word last time. Usurped her? Yeah, let's go with that. Her throne splitting the nation in two and sparking a terrible conflict. Legend has it that this battle brought an end to knighthood and chivalry. She killed every knight who once served her, and invaded the land she'd fought to defend. All the knights who followed her were gone, and her own body lay injured and immobile. There was no one left around her. As ever, nothing has changed. All she had in her heart was the pride of a king. She'd known about this ending. Still, she believed there was something to be gained from this failure, which is why she kept fighting without ever failing or disgracing herself. She had not regrets. If she were to have one, it would be seeing her nation in ruin. She raised her gaze. Maybe she would be able to see her castle in the distance from this hill. She saw only the aftermath of the battle, a dense forest, and a lake to which she must return. That's right. The hill she had meant to charge over has become a wall she can't climb. Strength left her body. For the first time, she loosened her grip on the sacred sword. And that's where it ended. It was only natural that the dream would end here, since there is nothing beyond that moment in her memories. And that is why this end cannot be rewritten. She worked so hard, and she was resented, betrayed. Nobody understood that she loved her people more than her nation. She came to be known as a merciless king. She was never rewarded or understood. On top of the crimson-stained, sword-strewn hill, the girl sat on the edge of death, isolated and betrayed. Okay. I'm beginning to formulate some ideas here. Because during that entire thing, I was thinking, what mistake could she have made? Or what mistakes could she have made? But what is the one that sticks out? What would have made her want to maybe rewrite? Even so, you technically can't, but with the Holy Grail, you know, the thing that can do anything, grant any wish, you know, what wrongs would she want to, you know, flip around? And it got me thinking about in what sort of way is there a similarity between what she has done and what Shirou is currently doing? Because of the decision she made, because of the route she went down, she was never able to go back in order to achieve her goals, in order to do what she wanted. So here we have Shirou, after everything that has happened in his life, has chosen that he wants to be a hero of justice, to protect people, to save people, to not just stand around, but to step up. What will that do to him? It's the same thing as Saber. She didn't want to sit around. She took up a position in order to act. So when Shirou chooses to take that same position, stepping into this war to gain power, to fight, where will that leave him? I wonder. I really do. I wake to the sound of rain. I grip my spinning head and sit up. It's just before 6 o'clock. The rain patters softly outside. We're always having these rough-ass mornings. No, there's no doubt about it. It was Saber's past. It was the end of her life a long, long time ago. Nothing can change it now. Supposedly. I grit my teeth. I can hear them grinding. I don't know why, but I'm so mad. Just thinking about it pisses me off. Her past, the fact that she didn't think anything of it. Me thinking the dream was nothing before. I hate it. I don't even understand why, but it's making me angry. I don't like it. I don't like it one damn bit. No matter how you slice it, her life was unfair. So unfair. She only wanted to help people. She wanted nothing for herself. But as hard as she worked, nobody understood her. Not even at the very end. That really pisses me off. It's so unfair. That's right. If she worked harder than anyone, and she doesn't receive any reward, it's all just a bunch of crap. She should be rewarded for everything she's done. Well, what are we doing, you know? What is it that Shirou is, trying to do here? He wants to protect people as well, but what does he expect in the end? Does he expect nothing? But how could that happen at this point? Just tell her she did a good job? Do I tell her how wonderful she was? Of course not. Nothing so simple could do her justice. That's right. If she's to be rewarded, the work she devoted her life to should be repaid. Altria needs happiness to match all the battles she fought. I'm out of ideas. I don't have any idea how to make people happy. I'm so useless at this kind of thing. My entire life, I've wanted to be a champion of justice, but all I ever did was lend a hand here and there. I believed everyone around me would be happy if I just helped people. Or rather, I couldn't face myself if I didn't believe that. Helping people and saving people are very much not the same thing. And if I don't understand the difference myself, I can't possibly reward Saber. Yeah, they are two different things, and I think I've kind of, intertwined them a little bit. But it does make you think in terms of, is Shirou maybe doing more than he thinks he is? Breakfast is the same as usual. I get the sense Saber and Tosuka are pretty adaptable since they've already gotten used to Ilya being here. It's been one day.
で、あんたはどうするのよ、シロ。残るマスターは3人。聖杯戦争だって期限がないってわけじゃないんだから、そろそろ行動に移らないとまずいわよ。いつも後手を踏むってのも情けないし。
Yeah, it's kind of been our whole approach to this damn war. Tosuka's right. There's nothing wrong with me physically, and Saber's completely healed. We should be done resting as of yesterday.
そうだな。けど、行動を起こすにしても、それは夜からだ。日が昇っているうちは、今まで通りにする。
本気？まあ、 相手の情報がないんだから闇雲に出歩いても仕方がないけどさ。じゃあシローは今日もセイバーにいじめられるわけ？
And I wouldn't want it any other way. I'm gonna continue my sword training with Saber. And that's what we've been doing every day, and a master should always be prepared for battle.
リン、私とシローが行っているのは鍛錬です。今の発言は人聞きが悪すぎます。
いや、まあそうだな。午前中は今まで通りセイバーにしごかれるよ。
シロー、あなたまでそのように言われては私の立場がないのですが。
It's okay. I'll accept it this time.
いや、悪いセイバー。ぼーっとしてて聞いてなかった。
ですから、リンの言いぶりは乱暴すぎるという件です。まったく、どうしたのです、シロー。今朝は覇気が感じられません。朝食もどことなく彩りに欠けますし、昨日も遅くまで蔵にいたのですか？
Hey, that shed, it deserves screen time. There's been a lot going on. Saber may be questioning me, but there's no real bite to it. I can sense that she trusts me, which makes it even harder to meet her gaze now. If our eyes meet, I can't help thinking of that scene in the hill. You mean on the hill?
わかりました。後ほどカツを入れて差し上げます。それでは今日も道場で鍛錬をする。レイン。
頼む。イリアはどうするんだ？
私も昨日と同じだよ。雨に濡れるのは嫌いだから外に出たくないわ。
Ah, it's raining.
そうか。そうしてくれると
Oh, that's
助か
right.
る。
It even said so
できれば
earlier.
イリアには家にいてほしいからな。
昨日みたいにお弁当作ってくれるなら一緒にいてあげてもいいよ。
It seems like Ilya took a liking to the bento yesterday. I'm a little embarrassed that something so simple pleased her, but at the same time, I'm glad to know Ilya enjoyed the bento I made.
なんだ、それじゃあ昨日と同じってことね。私も調べ物があるから部屋にこもるけど、午後になったら顔を出しなさい。ちょっと話があるから。調べ物ですか？そう。セイバーなら分かってると思うけど、昨日から竜道寺の様子がおかしいのよ。
There have been things going on at Ryoto Temple for a while.
あれだけ精力的にやってた魔力集めも止まってるし、何か動きがあったのは明白でしょ？まあ、残ったマスターの中で一番厄介そうなのは竜道寺のやつだしね。使いまでもこしらえて中の様子を探ってみるわ。
The thing is that Caster is somebody else that we need to be very much wary of.
それでしたら探索に専念した方がいいのではないですか？無理に時間を割いてシロに享受する必要はないと思いますが。
Not to say that we shouldn't be wary of Lancer and Assassin. They're both very skilled and dangerous in their own right. And I think somebody even put in the comments of a previous episode that Lancer pretty much could have killed Saber. Like, it very much was a close fight whenever Saber was initially summoned. And, Assassin, he's very different. And probably my favorite of the servants. But that aside, he is definitely a foe not to mess with as well. Caster, we don't know a single thing about Caster, but we have seen Caster in a bad ending. There's a lot to be wary of when it comes to Caster because of how little we know compared to Lancer and Assassin.
まあそこはそれ。悪いけど我慢してちょうだい。私もね、まだ危なっかしくて放っておけないのよ。
Yeah, please don't.
敵に殺されるのならいいけど、魔術をしくじって自滅でもされたら死として面目がないでしょ。はい。リンの言う通りです。私はどうかしていました。リンの授業が必要ないなんてどうして思ってしまったのか。その理由は簡単だけど、まあ知らぬが花ってことで。それじゃあ午前中の鍛錬頑張ってね。そいつ頑丈だから死なない程度に痛めつけるぐらいが最適よ。
And with that, Tosaka leaves the room.
セイバー、言っとくけど、遠坂の言い分なんて本気にするなよ。あいつはセイバーの打ち込みを受けてないからあんなこと言えるんだからな。
I tell her just in case. For some reason, she seems pleased.
はい、分かっています。シローの体に関してなら、私の方が熟知していますから。
That could be taken out of context in a really weird way, but she responds calmly. Just throwing that out there. For whatever reason, I'm just throwing that out there.
食べないのですか、イリアスフィール。昨日に比べると、まだ3割にも届いていませんが。
違うよ。こっちのは食べられないの。私、辛いのはダメなんだ。
Don't worry, Ilya. I can relate.
はあ、そう辛いとは思いませんが、この香辛料は鶏肉に合っています。
マスタードは嫌いなんだってば。いいから食べて。その代わり、そっちのイチゴの食べてあげる。
I never really took mustard to be spicy, but okay.
何をするのです、イリアスフィール。こら、戻しなさい。それはダメです。甘いものが欲しいなら、リンゴのパイがあるでしょう。
This is strange. Ilya and Saber sit next to each other, bickering like two close sisters. It's just past noon. The three of us sit and face each other, eating lunch together just like yesterday. Oh, right. It's not just lunch that's the same as yesterday. Our training today was as well. Today, though, is even more awkward. I don't know how to explain it, but something in my chest stirs whenever I face Saber, and I find myself unable to rush at her with the same desperation I used to. It's not just me. Saber has been acting weird too. It used to be that she never let an opening go by. The last couple days, she's just waited for me to make a move, which has meant the two of us just kind of ended up staring at each other for a while.
二人ともどうしたの？
Good question.
見ててあんまり面白くないよ。
Ilya's criticism helped us get back into the swing of things. I managed to go after Saber, but it ended pretty much the same. She batted aside my half-assed attack, but didn't bother countering. Since she didn't follow up, I whirled on Saber, lunged again, and was once more repelled, though she again didn't counterattack. Our lackluster session ended about 10 minutes ago. Once again, it was Saber's suggestion we began our lunch break. We're having the same thing we did yesterday, sandwiches. I figured it would do to make them exactly the same as yesterday, or it wouldn't do to make them exactly the same as yesterday, so I used a few other ingredients. Everyone seems happy. Ilya is excited over the colorful sandwiches, and Saber takes a deep breath, preparing for her meal. I think that's Saber's way of showing her enthusiasm. It's much rowdier than yesterday. It's raining, and the hardwood floor is cold, but this also feels like a picnic.
ああ、もうそこまでです、イリアスフィール。それでは服が汚れてしまう。まったく、シローの真似をして一口で食べるからそうなるのです。あなたの口は小さいのですから、もう少しおとなしく食べるべきでしょう。
分かってないのはセイバーの方よ。こういうお弁当はね、お行儀を気にする方が失礼なのよ。これはピクニックなんだから、こういう風にするのが本当なんだよね、シロー。
Ilya happily munches on a sandwich, and Saber reluctantly wipes Ilya's mouth with a napkin.
くすぐったいってば、セイバー。
Again, this is very strange, how close they've gotten. Well, I didn't see this coming. Saber and Ilya seem to have warmed up to each other.
驚いた。拒否しないのですか、イリアスフィール。
なんで？私、優しくされるの好きだよ。うん。他のやつが私に触れたら殺すけど、セイバーは綺麗だから許してあげる。
Alright.
それに、今は同じお弁当を食べる仲間だもの。セイバーが私のこと好きなら、私もセイバーのことは好きよ。
And just the other day, she wanted to kill all of us. It's so simple for Ilya. Saber, clearly taken aback, stares at Ilya dumbfounded. Even I, just a spectator, as this unfolds, am caught off guard by Ilya's smile.
何？セイバーは楽しくないの？
いえ、それは。
私は楽しいよ。外は雨で、ここはこんな殺風景な場所で、欲しかったものは何もない。けど、こうしていると嬉しいの。一人でいるより、ずっとずっとあったかいでしょ。
Something in Ilya's smile must have struck Saber. Saber sighs deeply and looks back at her.
そうですね。私もこうしているのはとても楽しい。
She sounds bright. And then Saber smiles in a way I've never seen from her. Yeah, I don't think we've seen that expression with her sprite. That one's a new one. I don't know why, but I'm getting emotional. That smile was just great. It was for herself and herself alone. It's not the usual smile I see from her whenever she's protecting someone. It's a smile of sheer happiness, for her, from her.
シロ、どうしました？そんな顔して。何かいいことでもあったのですか？
I guess something good did happen.
いや、別に何も。って、今変な顔してたか、俺。
うん、してたわ。お父さんみたいな顔。遠くからこっちを見守ってますって風なの。
Why from afar?
私、そういう顔は嫌いよ。
Huh? Why? Why was that not voiced either? Now I don't understand what she's talking about, but I guess I was just smiling.
そうか。まあ、いいことがあったからな。ついにやけちまったのかもしれない。
はあ、いいことですか？
そうだよ。セイバーは今みたいな笑顔のがいい。それが見れてよかったって。
難しいですね。そんなことが嬉しいのですか？シローは。
だな。俺、セイバーのそういう顔を見るのが好きみたいだ。
When you appreciate how other people smile, seeing other people's happiness fueling your own happiness, that really does show that you care about that person. Saber nods, though she doesn't seem convinced. And then, I don't know what came over her, but she smiles and lifts her head.
そうですか。それでは逆ですね、シロー。
ん？逆って何が？
私はあなたが笑顔でいてくれた方が嬉しい。あなたが笑っていられるなら、私はそれで十分です。
Oh, how cute. I can't meet Saber's gaze. That smile would make anyone lightheaded. I managed to calm myself down and glance sidelong at Saber. She calmly resumes eating her picnic lunch. Nothing to worry about there. And there should be nothing to worry about, yet something is bothering me.
私はあなたが笑顔でいてくれた方が嬉しい。
And that smile I saw for the first time, it seemed like she was contradicting herself. That is kind of mysterious there, isn't it? All right. We're going to wrap it up there because I am a little bit strapped for time. We'll save it on this one here. But this was a good session. This was a good episode to record, I think. Yet another chill time. And that will probably also be the next episode. I don't know. It is very possible that we are in yet another calm before the storm. It is my favorite recurring theme in visual novels, such as this one. So who knows? Who knows when shit will hit the fan yet again? And it seems to be, you know, something crazier each time. So we're going to have to see what comes up next. But thank you all for tuning in. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that fancy jazz, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.